is forever? Infinity and eternity are universal human concepts that all cultures have developed language to express. This universality tells us that there must be an objective truth behind this concept. But what is it, and how did we discover it? Most of what we know about anything comes from the process of expressing abstract concepts in symbols and then analyzing those symbols to give us information about a reality. Literally, early humans drawing shapes and symbols and contemplating the information they contain. So, let's look at how math can help us understand what is forever. All so-called real numbers can repeat forever. 1, 1, 1, 1, forever. 2, 2, 2, 2, forever. 3, 3, 3, 3, and so on forever. Patterns of these numbers can also continue infinitely. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 forever, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 forever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, on to infinity. Any pattern can continue infinitely. This is like your 9-to-5 life, repeating the same pattern day to day. The more complex the pattern, the more varied your activity. But there are also numbers that we call transcendental numbers. These numbers are considered irrational numbers, as they seem to continue infinitely without any discernible pattern. The most famous of these irrational numbers is pi. Pi continues forever without any discernible repeating patterns. So let's think about what this means. If pi continues forever without ever repeating, it means that all possible combinations of numbers must exist somewhere in the string. This means that somewhere in the infinite string of possible number combinations, the date that you were born and the date that you die are right next to each other. This also means that if you took the entirety of Moby Dick or the Bible or literally any other book and changed all the letters to numbers so that A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so on, that somewhere in pi, the entirety of these texts must exist. In an infinite string of possible combinations, all combinations must exist. It's important to note here that math is not created. It is emergent as an expression of experiential reality. It is a language that describes the fundamental structure of our physical reality. Mathematicians who perceive an abstract phenomenon write an equation to express the concept, and then subsequently check their math against all other known math. If an equation cannot be universally applied, it is considered untrue. Although it should be noted that some mathematicians do have a bad habit of trying to write reconciliatory equations to make their false concepts fit into universally applied mathematics. As Nikola Tesla famously stated, today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure that has no relation to reality. Relation to reality is what makes the math true. So let's look at an equation that describes the fundamental infinite nature of reality. It's a simple equation with infinite complexity. At the time it was discovered in the late 70s and early 80s, our computer technology was primitive. Nevertheless, they used computers to plot the equation on a graph and produced this image. It became known as the Mandelbrot Set. It wasn't until years later that our computer technology would advance enough to give us detailed graphs of the equation. And this is the result. Remember as you behold this that this is not created by an artist. This is literally the result of the simple yet infinitely complex equation graphed. You can zoom in to any spot on the fractal, and it will go within itself infinitely, always returning to the original structure on another fractal scale. Interestingly, this is one of the greatest representations of out-of-body trips that people experience on psychedelic drugs. There's an infinite spectrum of color and an infinite spectrum of sound, only a small bandwidth of which human beings can perceive. By transcending human sensory limitations, by inducing out-of-body experiences with psychedelic sacraments, we can experience the infinitude of reality that is imperceptible to us within the human vessel. Hearing sounds that humans can't hear and seeing colors that humans can't see. Sometimes, the sensations blend together so that sounds have tastes and colors have textures. we experience this as the psychedelic mandala that is expressed within religious context universally in culture. This extrasensory experience of infinity is undoubtedly the origin of the classic mandala, which is used around the world cross-culturally to denote divinity and infinity in religious contexts. These are representations of a fractal universe that wouldn't be revealed to us through mathematics for thousands of years to come. I mean, can there be any denying what these people are trying to represent? These fractal patterns are inherent to nature and can be found in all things, and they provide us evidence and validation of the infinite structure of our universe. When you zoom into a leaf on a tree in a video game, you get so close that you end up with a pixelated image. But in reality, you go inside the leaf, which goes into a quantum universe that at some point is the same as the universe outside the leaf. Reality is going infinitely into itself, the same way that fractals do. The universe is a fractal hologram. If you take a hologram of your face, and you cut it into two pieces, both pieces of the hologram will retain the full image of your face. You can again cut those two holograms into two and now have four pieces of the hologram, all which retain the full image of your face. You can continue this infinitely and end up with infinite fractions of the hologram, each which contains the entirety of the image. This is what it means that we are all made in the image of God. And it is why we can see the same fundamental patterns repeating themselves in infinite manifestations and on all levels of the microcosmic to the macrocosmic universe. Here's a simple example. We are born, we die. We awake, we sleep. And every few moments we open and shut our eyes. We are literally blinking in and out of existence at every fractal scale. And what are the implications of an infinite fractal universe? Well, just like in pi, an infinite universe of infinite universes means that there are infinite versions of you. Infinite realities, each with infinitesimal, imperceptible differences to each other. A reality exactly like this one, where everything is the same, but one hair on my head is missing. Another with 2, another with 3, and so on forever. A reality exactly like this one, where you are the one who made this video, and I'm the one watching it. Infinite realities in which I choose infinite different paths. Perhaps somewhere a reality in which I choose the perfect path. Infinite possibilities within an infinite universe. So, what does this mean for me? Just like the fractal zooms, there's a single point of awareness flying through the infinite universe of possibilities. It's our self. It is me, no matter who it chooses to be. And it is flying through the fractal universe, choosing which path to take. It has always existed, and it will always exist. And of all the infinite possible realities that the great awareness could be, it's watching through these eyes, making this the most important incarnation it ever was. This is the awareness of your eternal existence. The real question in all of this: how do we make eternity exciting? Well, we only do it once. Every time. Forever.